guys. I want to give you a little tip for a great summer drink. This is it. And I got to put it down. I am drinking just a little bit, like where my finger is, not even quite that much of those ice drinks. And then the rest of it is just club soda. It's delicious. It's very refreshing. And if you're drinking carbs, as I am not, pineapple juice is delicious. Dave loves it. I make that for him. I'm gonna put it down now. I'm back. So I'm out on my porch. You know, we have 13 acres, and you would think I could find a better place to do this than my front porch swing, right? And I have to remember to look up there. It's so weird. You'd think I would look right here, but I really have to look in the corner of my phone. I don't know what they're thinking down at Apple. Anyway, Dave had an inspection, and it is very close to his parents' house, so he's down there spending time with them, which is great. But that meant I had the whole day to myself, and it actually meant that I could clean the house, and I was delighted. It's so weird the way you know that you're grown up. I mean, one, you have all your adult teeth, right? Two, you like to sleep, and three, cleaning is not time out or a punishment. If you have a whole day to clean and dig in closets and declutter, you've been blessed. So I've had a great day. Right now I have carnitas cooking in the oven. I transferred them from the slow cooker. And I have made carnitas lots before, but I kept seeing this recipe that said that authentic Mexican carnitas use Mexican sugared Coca-Cola, which I don't even know where to find that, but I did find a bottle of the sugar Coca-Cola, the regular stuff. And I am trying it right now, and I'll give you a report. I'm probably going to feel real stupid when I pull it out of the oven, and it's disgusting, but I will share that as well. I just kept seeing this rumor going around that it would really make fabulous carnitas. And I think probably the rumor was started by the Coca-Cola company. We'll see. Anyway, that's what I'm doing, cleaning and cooking and enjoying the cooler weather. But I wanted to share a time when we just got back from seminary, and we didn't, I got to tell you, Calvary Chapel doesn't do church the way a lot of places do church. So as I understand it, a lot of places will send you out and, give you support money and all that until you get going. Well, when Dave was in seminary, there was, in the administration building, there was a big wall of all these invitations from different places that wanted pastors to come. And they would tell if they had a parsonage, and then they'd also tell what the salary was going to be. Well, we had no such thing. We lived in our house, and we actually started our church in our front yard. I'll show you what that looks like. Okay. And oh, by the way, that's our orchard. Please indulge me. There are only 7 fir trees out there, but I'm proud of my orchard. There you go. Hardly any fruit on them this year, simply because the weather was so horrid. It just rained. Now, I do love the rain, but not when we're trying to get our mason bees to pollinate our apples. So we only have a handful of things this year. But anyway, right out there under those trees, we just the first night we started our Bible study on a Tuesday night. And our great friend, Mike Macy, who is with the Lord now, I still can't believe it. He came out and played congos. He was an ice cream truck driver at the time, which I just love that. But he had this dog Solo, who was his companion everywhere he went. And so he showed up in his ice cream truck at about 6 o'clock, and we had him join us for dinner. And then he took his Congo and his Bible and his dog, and we went out to the front yard, and it was just the 3 of us, and it was great. So the next week we had like 5 people, and then we had 7, and this was in the summer. And then by the end of that summer, we had like 28 people coming and a few children. I mean, they're people too. I didn't mean it to sound like that. We had 28 adults and a few children. Please don't hate me. I love children. But it was interesting because virtually everyone who came to this beginning of our church was single, and they were all coming straight from work. So, they were hungry. They hadn't gone to dinner. And so what I did was I started to make dinner, a big dinner on Tuesday night, so that everybody could have food. I love to cook, and I love to have people over. Well, I And I do have to say, I make a mean pot of Cabbage Patch soup, as my friends will attest to. But if I am on my ball, I will link it below the recipe that's on my blog. But anyway, I would do that quite a bit because it was economical and it fed a lot of people. And then I'd make bread or, whatever, but I always made a dessert. But what happened was, as more and more people were coming, it began to take my entire food budget for the week. And I didn't say anything, we didn't tell them that now we're out of money for the week, but it didn't matter because God kept providing. It was amazing how many people would come and have dinner. They'd show up at the door and they'd say, hey, Albertsons had a 2-for-1 on roasts. Here's an extra one for you. Or I have an extra thing of milk. It was really good buy down at, Safeway or wherever. And so I thought Zach could use it. So people were bringing us food all the time, and it was just amazing how we always had exactly what we needed. But I remember at the end of the summer, it was just about the time before we went into a building. We had enough, people were beginning to tithe to us, and we just saved every penny of that, and were able to rent a Grange Hall that's not too far from here. And it was such a cute, quaint, just wonderful little building. We had women's ministry in there the first Tuesday night, and it was so fun to have a place to go. But after a month, we really couldn't stand the urine smell that I do not even know why it was emanating from the Grange, but I don't want to know. But it just was a horrible smell. So we got out of there, and then we went to a bingo hall, and I do have stories of that. I have a great dream about that, but that I'll share. But anyway, by the time we were about ready to move and go do that, it was toward the very end of the summer, and I was making, I don't know, stew or something. It wasn't Cabbage Patch, but I decided to make this recipe for these toffee bars, and you had to make the toffee separately. So I pulled out my pan and I got the butter and the sugar and all that out, and you had to stir it and watch it really carefully, all that kind of stuff you do, caramels and all that. And I promise you, I only looked away for 10 seconds. It was no longer than that. And my bubbling toffee burned. It was burning. I could smell it. And I ran over there and pulled it off the stove and tried to pour off and salvage part of it. But the bottom part, I couldn't scrub it off. And you're saying to yourself, she did not try hard enough, but I really did. I scrubbed and I soaked and I scrubbed and I soaked. And I mean, it was just crazy. It just wasn't going to come off the bottom of that pan. It was ruined. And I remember throwing that pot in the garbage. It wasn't a great, pot to begin with, but still, it was my only pot with a lid, the only one I had. And I threw it in the garbage, and I was at the sink, and I kind of started laughing, and I looked out the window and I said, well, Lord, you're going to have to do something by next Tuesday because that's my only pot with a lid. So it was kind of funny, but I didn't tell anybody because we really didn't want anyone to feel sorry for us or, do anything out of pity. It was just exciting to see how God would put it on people's hearts to provide the things that we needed without us saying a word. I mean, the milk, the roast, sometimes people would bring cheese, and it was really the beginning of quite a big adventure. So we didn't say a word. I didn't even, actually, to be honest, I didn't even tell Dave. Dave, the kitchen, he pops his head in there to see if I'm there, but never, ever, ever cooked or took any interest in utensils or appliances at this time. Since then, I've gotten him a Traeger, and now he is the cook, and a great cook. But back then, it wouldn't have meant anything to him that I, lost my only pot with a lid. So I didn't say anything to anybody. And everybody came, we had dinner, we had our dessert, the part I could salvage. And we just had a great night. So that was Tuesday. And on on Sundays, we were going to church out at Calvary Chapel in a nearby area. And it was about a 45-minute drive from us, but they were kind of our sending pastor. But in Calvary Chapel, sending means that pastor and our pastor down in Vancouver, from when we were in seminary down there, came up and they laid hands on Dave and anointed him and said, God bless you, and let us know how it goes. But, that's that they just believe that where God guides, God provides. And that's really a great philosophy. So, anyway, we came home on Sunday, and as we were pulling in the driveway, I noticed that there was a box on the door. And I got out of the car and came up, and it was gift wrapped. And it had my name on it. And there was this little card in there, and it said, these things that you have done for others have not gone unnoticed by the Lord. and there was no signature. And I opened up the box, and it was a brand new Paul Revere pot with a lid. In fact, it was this one. I still have it 26 years later. I just couldn't believe it. I mean, I say that all the time. That's kind of a thing we say, I couldn't believe it, but I really could believe it because at this time, you know, we were back from seminary, so I'd already had really one of the most incredible things happen that ever did to me. You know, the Kara Syrup story. Oh, you haven't heard that one? Well, you're just going to have to come back every day because I am going to share that. But I had already had God, you know, seen him provide over and over and over. So it isn't that I really couldn't believe it, but it's just that, you know, most of the world that we rub elbows with all day long either they don't believe there's a God, or they believe there is a God, but that he is, you know, super busy out there and doesn't really remember them, or that there's a God, he's just absolutely not interested in anything that's happening to us here. And I would say to every one of those people, you could not be more wrong. But it is interesting how when you are used to looking for God providing, that's the thing, you have to get to a point where you expect it, not in a demanding, entitled way, you know, but in a way that says, I'm your daughter, so if you want me to have this, please provide it, like I did with the pot. Then when the answer comes, you're not really surprised, you're just more delighted, and it's one more thing that draws you close to the Lord. All of those moments of provision and moments when you hear so clearly from God in your heart, you need to store those up and record them. I am going to talk about that in another video, but it was just so beautiful, and I couldn't wait to share it with our Bible study. Now, somebody in the Bible study may have been the one that God put it on their heart to provide for us. Terrible sentence. I should actually record that, but you get what I'm saying. But somebody there may have done it, but it doesn't matter. No one wanted me to know that it was them, but I know clearly that God put it on the heart of someone to do that, because that's what he does. So anyway, I think you should go out and get some club soda and one of those ice drinks, or some pineapple, and give it a try, because you're gonna love it. And I will let you know how the Coca-Cola pork carnitas turn out. Talk with you guys soon.